All right, good morning. So tonight I'm going to cover levels in a free workshop. So I've put the link below for you to join. But I wanted to give just a little overview of what I typically look at when I'm setting levels. What I have pulled up here is Intel, and where I always start is the weekly time frame, and where you would start is you really want to map near your trade chart time frame, one or two charts up. So if you're trading, for example, the hourly, then you want to mark up the daily and the weekly. And if you're trading something smaller like the 5-minute time frame, you'll want to still chart at least the daily. You definitely want to look at the weekly for any levels near current price action, then go down to the daily, same thing, levels near price action, and then the hourly, and finally your trade chart. So charting the bigger levels, what this does is allows you to not miss major pivots. So for example, if I didn't have these weekly markings on, I would not know that these were major levels on the bigger time frames, which can make for better, even smaller chart time frame trades. So on this weekly here, I'm charting around the price action right now, and what I have marked up are levels here that have had multiple touch points on the weekly. As you can see, this is, sometimes I will take one of this drawing tool here. Oops, hold on. Right. Sometimes I will take this drawing tool here, and because you see we've got these touch points here, but then there's a second area where the touch points aren't as close, and instead of drawing another line, I like to do there's no border here, just a shaded area. And as you can see in pre-market, right now, that is where Intel is, in that shaded area. So this line and this shaded area cover about the range here where I'm expecting. These are areas where you can expect either a pause, a bounce, a little hesitation, and then you will have to pay attention to price action to know if it's going to continue further up to the next level. So will we bounce and then start making our way up to the weekly time frame? I don't know. So these levels I do lock in, because a lot of times I will, on my smaller chart time frames, I'll clear my sheet, but I want to remember, I don't want to forget these major areas, especially the ones around the current price. So I've marked those on the weekly time frame. Then I'm going to go down to the daily, and I'm marking the daily with anticipation to trade either the hourly, 4-hour, or the daily, especially if we do break through to new all-time highs and pick up some momentum, so the overall market is a little bit more bullish and not so choppy. And now on the daily, you could see that the weekly pretty much covers where we need to be, so there's not much I would add here. I do see, so there are going to be outliers here, which I won't mark up on the daily, but I will probably mark those up on the hourly. So right now, let's just say I'm trading the hourly time frame. I want to see that price action is I want to see that price action starts to move away from this line, and then that would confirm that this is a support area. The thing is, when you have a stock that has made a significant run in either direction, it could start to come up and then, oh, that's Junie. Hold on one. Can you hear her? Shh, June. Oh yeah, you can definitely hear her. Hold on one second. All right, she is on her way down. You can still hear her a little bit, but hold on. Okay, yeah, I hear her going downstairs. All right, so, and June she's my dog, by the way. Dog, daughter, whatever. So after you have a strong run in either direction, sometimes it does take multiple tests to that area before it goes up. There are some times where you're getting a straight V bottom, which is like maybe less, like 3 or 4 hourly candles, or even 3 or 4 daily candles, depending on the time frame we're looking at. And so you could see that here, where it took several hours before we had that drop down here. And sometimes once we reach a level, it can, so this is not quite on the level, but near it. Here is a good example. When we made it to this level, we pretty much went up from there. We never returned near it. Whereas, let me see. I would say like here, right? So we had this strong run down. That's a sustained run to the downside. Then we popped up and it needed more time. So then when we went up from here, we retested it here, and then we went up. So keep that in mind, that sometimes after either very sharp moves or sustained moves, that it takes time. But as you can see, that took a little more time. This didn't. So how you combat that, or how you address that in your trading. One, if you're trading options, you may have to get out, especially if you have bought a smaller, if you have a shorter dated option contract. If you're buying stock, you would just set a level where you would say, okay, maybe here we'd look at the hourly chart, and if you go down this way, you can see we've got support here, and then we've got support here. So maybe you would pick a level right here on the hourly and say, okay, if it closes below this and moves away from it, then I'm going to get out. So even if you got in here, it never broke the area that invalidated your theory, because sometimes it just does this. And this is like a Wyckoff spring, so it's like a double bottom, but where the second bottom is a little bit deeper than the first one. So that's how you address that. But if you are trading options and you get a shorter dated option, like 1 week out, 2 weeks out, 3 or 4 weeks out, you really don't have that time to wait for that. So let's say that in today, we saw Intel gapped up around this area. The other thing because if I'm trading the hourly, then I'm going to go ahead and look here and mark. I want to mark this. So that's right here. So I'm going to mark this area here and mark that as my hourly. And that's going to be because this was a retest and breakout area. So at this point, a major move happened and there's another push forward. And at this point, we had a retest and a failed breakout. So I want to see the price travel at least to here. But in the open, I'm going to see this come up, and I'm going to look for the smaller time frames if I get a pullback, but that it holds this weekly level here. And if I get that, even if, That's where you have to determine, because sometimes you're waiting on a pullback and it never happens, or it's very shallow. And so you'll wait to get in from a smaller time frame, but as long as it's holding this weekly level, you should feel confidence that this is the base, the bottom. And so I would go ahead and get in on a pullback here, and then I would look for these targets here, and then I'd really want to see it go back up to 50. And that's what these levels are for. So they are levels where you've seen price action do something significant, whether a big pivot, a breakout, and the higher time frames hold more weight, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they will the levels won't be breached, because it happens even here. So we undercut a little bit before we went up, but as you can see, that's very close. When it actually started to go up, that level was supported really, really well. So what else do I want to share here? This one, again, we can see maybe quick action there, or it could do something like this where it's trying to go up and then comes back down, which sometimes with a sharp move like that, I mean, it really is 50-50. You're either going to get some kind of V-bottom or it needs to play out. We never know. That's why you also want to use the levels as like an invalidation point. So if it breaks and closes below here and starts to move away from it, then you would call that move invalidated for now. And then just look for the entry again, because maybe it's going to travel a little bit lower. Maybe it's going to travel to this uptrend line. We don't know. So, all right. I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, let me know. Tonight I'm doing a workshop completely free. I dropped the link down. You can join my community. That's how you access the workshop. And yeah, see you then. Okay, bye.